Hey everybody, I'm going to try this for the last time because I can't seem to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I keep deleting what I'm recording and then I have to keep doing this again, and it's kind of annoying. So I'm gonna briefly go over this. Um, First off, let me know if you're able to see it. If you could just comment that you were able to watch it because yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. So, yes, hopefully this works because this is totally the last time I'm going to try this. I am not computer savvy at all. Anyways, my presentation is on Costa Rica. What happens, before the 20th century, early years. Um, Overview of Costa Rica. I want to say before I start this that I have found in my readings that after the 20th century is there's so much more information out there. It's much more interesting to me. There isn't a whole lot that I found that Costa Rica did before the 20th century. There's certain things that they're more proud of, certain things they stood for, which I think are awesome. But I will say that I can definitely add some more into the second portion of this project because I feel like um, Costa Rica has expanded so much and they have really grown. But on here, I pretty much have the basics of what you need to know. So I'm going to start off with the meaning of Costa Rica. So Costa Rica means rich coast, which is quite contradicting because Costa Rica is pretty poor. At least this is, dating back before the 20th century. They're pretty poor. So if not the poorest region in America. So the name it's kind of funny that they're called that. They mainly went by their Costa Rica was mainly populated by farmers, and these farmers were really big on coffees. We'll go into later how they transitioned into bananas, but their main export and main export was coffee. So going back a little bit, they elected their first president. I'm really bad at saying names, so you'd have to bear with me on that. Some of these I can't really pronounce, so I kind of just go for it. Jose Maria Castro Madriz in 1848 was elected the first president. He was the one that abolished the army, which we'll get into later, and made Costa Rica a republic country. So these farmers, these coffee farmers, they did not approve of the president. They didn't like him, so they replaced him. He resigned. They replaced him with Juan Rafael Mora Porras, a wealthy individual who was well into the coffee trade. So he was essentially their people. Same business. He was very important, knew how to go about the coffee business. So I reckon they wanted somebody to lead that they could learn from and somebody that they could work with. So later on, in 1899, Costa Rica developed the United Fruit Company, and this is where their bananas came in. It became really big for them to transport their bananas. Um, Honestly, from what I've been told, their bananas was bomb. My best friend, her mother lives in Costa Rica, and she visits quite frequently. And from what they tell me, their bananas are amazing. So is their coffee. So yes, back in the day, they needed a way to transport their bananas, and so they created the United Fruit Company, which did other fruits as well, but they were primarily bananas, big banana people. Um, and it was stated, I want to quote this, that it was more powerful than many nation states, a law unto itself and accustomed to regarding the republics as a private fiefdom. I apologize, I don't have my glasses on, so I might have to squint a little bit. If it weren't for United Fruit, the banana would never have emerged from the dark, then arrived in such quantities as to bring prices that made it available to all. So essentially, um, it helped Costa Rica thrive. They sold their bananas and it made them money. The trade was wonderful. Same thing with the coffee. And I will say, going in a little bit later, but I can add this in now. After talking with my friends, it has come to be now that Costa Rica isn't as big on bananas as they used to be, but they are definitely still humongous on the coffee. And how she told me that you can't even make coffee there. Like they're so strong, almost religious about it, that you have to buy their coffee. Like it's crazy. And I'll go more into that as we go over the 20th century into now. So yeah, who knew that they were so huge for bananas? I had no idea. And so here is a picture. It's bananas. Um, Massive amount of bananas. Like in both these pictures, it's unbelievable to me, the transportation. And just imagine how many man hours went into this, all the hard work that these farmers did to get these bananas there and to distribute them. It's amazing how much you will do to survive. And ultimately, the bananas and the coffee did that for Costa Rica, which would eventually help them to become more profitable. Costa Rica would become a place where more wealthy people live there. So we'll go over that later in the next project. Defense tactics for Costa Rica. So this is something I did not know, and I think it's quite interesting. Does Costa Rica have an army? So long time ago, before the first president was elected, they had a small militia army, but he disbanded that. So Costa Rica does not have an army. To this day, they still do not have an army. They do, however, have a police force, a small one, and citizens and farmers can be included in this, and they basically just protect Costa Rica from um, small crimes. They protect the borders. They keep it safe. They take anybody that broke the law. It's just, it's crazy to know of any country that didn't have an army back then because, of course, you want to protect yourself and you want to protect your people. And so to me, this was something that just wasn't heard of. So apparently Costa Rica was very big on education, and the motto that they were stated, it is time for Costa Rica to return to her traditional position of having more teachers than soldiers, quote. So Costa Rica was more of peace. They wanted education, they wanted their people to be well educated and protected, and Costa Rica is more of a place where it's quiet, there's not much crime. They're able to pull off that not having a police force because there's just not much going on. It's mainly just rich people, people running their business, their banana business, the coffee business, and it's pretty quiet. I kind of think that's crazy, and with the research I found, it backs that up that they really feel like they don't need it. The small force to them is better than an army will ever be. All right, so I'm going to go down to Costa Rica and the Mexican War of Independence. So, this war lasted from 1810 to 1821. Costa Rica was declared independent September 15th, 1821. And I find it interesting that they were declared independent, though they didn't actually fight for their independence. So, Guatemala was able to actually declare their independence. So, to me, that's something interesting too, because they don't want to fight, but they have those other people. They have their backbone, the other countries that are essentially supporting them, and they're doing things. They still have their back, and I'm sure that they sent out the small group army if they had to fight. But again, I think that's amazing that they're able to accomplish so much without fighting. They were able to gain their independence without doing anything. They have a small army to help protect their country. It's totally different from what the United States is. We have that army because we need the protection. All right, so I'm going to read this because I feel like it's really important. And again, if you have questions, leave them in the comments. But I'm just going to briefly go over key points I think are important. Upon independence, Costa Rican authorities faced the issue of officially deciding the future of the country. Two bands formed: the Imperialists, excuse me, defended by Cartago and Heredia cities, which were in favor of joining the Mexican Empire, and the Republicans, represented by the cities of San Jose and Alajuela, not sure how to say that, who defended full independence. Because of the lack of agreement on these two possible outcomes, the First Civil War of Costa Rica occurred. The Battle of Ochomogo took place on the hill of Ochomogo, located in the Central Valley in 1823. The conflict was won by the Republicans, and as a consequence, the city of Cartago lost its status as the capital, which moved to San Jose. In 1849, National Coat of Arms was featured in the first postal stamp issued in 1862. And then in 1838, long after the Federal Republic of Central America ceased to function in practice, Costa Rica formally withdrew and proclaimed itself sovereign. I mean, I think it's amazing that they were able to do that and still accomplish that to this day. So this is a picture I found on Google of Costa Rican warriors or soldiers from back in the day before, they essentially didn't have any. And then these are just some additional pictures I found in Costa Rica, which I thought were interesting. It looks like the first one is more on bananas, more of the transportation of bananas, exporting. Uh, um, again, I don't have my glasses, but these are just the general pictures of Costa Rica to look like back then before the 20th century. The geography of Costa Rica. Beautiful, and it's actually bigger than I thought it was. Okay, so not only is it beautiful, but it's got some really interesting parts to it that I did not know. Um, did you know Costa Rica has over 60 volcanoes? And if you look at this map, where are they? I think that's amazing. And 5 of them are active. I did not know that a place could contain so many volcanoes. I think that's so interesting, and I would actually be scared to death to live there because 5 of them are active. But because of that, earthquakes are growing so much. They have a bigger they have a bigger range of earthquakes because of the craters and everything that's going on. All right. They also have a neotropic ecozone, which is very different too. I did not know that places did this. So you kind of learn a lot in this project. So they have possibility for different climates. So I'm sitting here right now and it is pouring outside, thunderstorms, but I go a mile up the road and it's completely sunny and beautiful. It's just that's the way their ecosystem is. And not only is it like that, it's extremely humid. It's really hot and muggy. But you kind of overlook that because the scenery is just gorgeous. And if you get a chance, my best friend, like I said, her mother lives there, so she visits her quite frequently. So for the second part of this presentation, when we do the after 20th century, I'm gonna have to steal some of her pictures and post, what it looks like today because it is absolutely beautiful. It is a place that is very covered, surrounded by forests and mountains. It is humid. That's a downside. Some people can do it. I'm not one of those that can handle the humidity. I'd love to visit, but I would probably die. But from what I've been told, it's beautiful. There's tons of places to just hike, to turn off your cell phone and just breathe in the air. I also want to add in something that I found out. This is more 20 after the 20th century, but I kind of want to throw it in there anyway because I think it's freaking amazing. Did you know there is a place in Costa Rica? It is a piece of land that is home to hundreds of stray dogs, and people go there to pet these dogs and play with them. If you are a dog person, this is your place. This is amazing. My best friend has not gone there. I have not either. I just found out about it a couple months ago, but I can't imagine how relaxing this must be to just go to a field and play with hundreds of dogs. How great is that? So, you know, add that to your list if you ever decide to visit Costa Rica. And I will try to get pictures of that too and post that onto my next presentation because that's like the best freaking thing I've ever heard of. Okay. Okay. Apologize for the break. Something happened to my computer. Think I'm back on. It kind of like kicked me off. Okay, so let's see if I can just get this. So, diplomatic relations. Costa Rica in 1851 established diplomatic relations with the United States. So essentially, we are protecting Costa Rica, and essentially they have our back as well. The United States and Costa Rica enjoy a robust bilateral law enforcement and security cooperation and have signed a maritime cooperation agreement that facilitates narcotic seizures, illegal migrant rescues, illegal fishing seizures, and search and rescue missions. Basically, we're here for them. The United States and Costa Rica share a strong commitment to working to promote climate change mitigation and adaptation, as well as preserving Costa Rica's important and rich biological diversity. The U.S. and Costa Rican governments, the Central Bank of Costa Rica, and the Nature Conservancy have concluded agreements that provide funding for the conservation, restoration, and protection of tropical forests. Add in there, we are basically here to help save their forests, to prevent them from being ruined, chopped down, save the animals, because I mean, honestly, Costa Rica is surrounded by forests. Why would you want to destroy the natural beauty that they have? And there's people out there that want that. They want the trees. They're trying to make money off of it, but you're destroying Costa Rica. So the United States is there to protect them. It is estimated that approximately 120,000 private American citizens, including many retirees, reside in the country, and more than a million Americans visit Costa Rica annually